Hi, my name is Margaret from Avante-Garde Cakes. Welcome to my online tutorial on YouTube. This is my very first one, so welcome aboard. And today I'm going to be showing you how to use edible transfer sheets and recycle and reuse the product to make edible lace. Okay, so today's tutorial was showcased at the Melbourne Cake, Bake and Sweet Show on the ACDN stand, and it got a lot of rave reviews. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to give you an insight as to how to use this product. All about recycling and reusing something that you've already got lying around in the cupboard if you're mainly a cake decorator, or if you've got any scraps of sugar transfer sheets and you don't have any edible lace lying around to mix up and make, this is a good way of using something that would normally be sitting around or you'd be throwing out. It's all still edible and it's got a pretty good shelf life. So I'll show you what products you'll need and what equipment you'll need. Starting with the most important, sugar transfer sheet. So this is just a scrap piece that I've used and cut out images of, and I've kept that in a plastic sleeve to stay fresh so it's not too hard. So that's the first thing and the most important bit that you'll need. Then you've got a spatula, then you've got an offset spatula, one of your lace molds. Now in particular I try to use this technique with a lace mold that is not too deep, so you get some real clean defined lines when you peel out your mold. So this is probably a really good example of what it would work best with. Then just a bowl of water and a teaspoon, a mixing container, and preferably one with a lid so that you can put the lid on and snap lock it and keep it fresh. I normally would make my lace the day before so that it stays fresh and keeps to a good consistency so I can use it again. And also sprink, the Bakewell sprink, which is good for releasing your product. So I've put on some rubber gloves to keep my hands clean, and the reason why I say that is because if I want to add some colour to my lace before I put it in the lace mould, I start with using just a base colour like Wilton White, and if I wanted to add another colour, I would add another colour later, and normally I would use AmeriColor colours because they are quite concentrated and nice. But in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make just a plain white lace. These are the edible transfer sheets that I was talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take some of this off. And as you can see, it's still quite soft. And I'm just ripping it apart and putting it into a container. Like mentioned, it's best that you do this the day before. And it also allows you to work out the best consistency and the colour that you want for your cake. So what I'm making today is just a base white, which would go onto a bright coloured cake or even a white cake. Using a teaspoon with water, I just gradually put some water in, and as you can see, when I put each teaspoon in, it starts to soak up the actual water into the lace or into the actual sugar transfer sheet, and it'll start breaking it down. Okay, so that's pretty much enough, as you can see. I'll move the bowl of water away, and you'll be able to tell just by looking at it how much you've put. What you're aiming for is a consistency that is quite sticky. So putting too much water will mean a longer drying time and a very, very thin lace. So the stickier and thicker your mix is, the better it is for you later on. So I'll use my spatula now just to gently scrape my spoon, and then use my spatula to mix. The problem with transfer sheets is sometimes you can have a bit of colour that has come off an image which you don't particularly want in your mix. So your color may end up quite grayish or a tone of some kind of other color that's from the edible image. So what I do is I put a little bit of, and I mean a very small drop of Wilton White, and that should hopefully make a more whiter mix for you. I've left the mixture in for some time, and as you can see, it's created a nice thick paste. So what you are aiming for is something that looks quite sticky. If it's too runny, it will take some time, like mentioned earlier, to dry. So we're looking at this kind of sticky consistency, so it kind of like drips off, but in a very thick stream. You can also add a color to this at this stage, but a very small amount. If you don't do that, then leave it white. We've got our mix. We're also going to use our lace mold and our offset spatula, as well as some sprink as our releasing agent. So I'll give it a shake and then very lightly spray your mold. Not too much, because if you put too much, it will end up being too wet. So you want it enough just to create just a fine release film. Then very gently, using your offset spatula and your mix, you just pour that on from one end. And as you can see, it's quite thick, which is good. It's a nice consistency. And using your offset spatula, you use that to now evenly spread your mix right across your mold, making sure that you fill up every single gap. As you fill in every gap, you should feel that stickiness, and it's actually wanting to sit into the grooves. Once you've done that, you use your offset spatula and run it across your mold, just like you would with any type of other lace mold. And while you're doing that, you just make sure you don't lift any off the detail. So you very gently do it, and if you feel like you've taken too much off, you could always use your spatula to fill in some gaps. And that's the final run through. We'll close the container, and that's what you're after. Looking at that now, what you want to do is leave it on a flat surface and let it dry. And something like this size mold will probably take about anywhere between 2 to 4 hours, depending on the humidity and weather. So today is quite a coolish day, but it is a little bit humid, being the beginning of autumn in Melbourne. So what I would do is I would leave it out on my bench and let it dry, and hopefully I can come back and show you how to release it out of the mold. So welcome back, and what I've just done is I've set up the lace ready for the lace mix to be removed out of the mold. It's been sitting for about 4 hours, so it's ready. I'm going to quickly show you how to remove it. We'll just use a tapered spatula if you need, and just gently release. Flip it over, and then using your tapered spatula, hold down your lace as you pull the mold away. And we do this gently so we don't lose any detail. There you go. As you can see there, the lace is quite flexible, and it'll stay quite flexible for quite a few days. If you leave it in a Glad bag, a Ziploc bag, it'll stay even more pliable and fresh. So that'll allow you to reuse your mold and reuse your mix to keep on adding more mix to make more lace. Thanks for watching my very first tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.